This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Live on a Hide in Your Cave Monday. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys had a really good weekend. And I have to tell you, I'm really excited. I shouldn't be excited, but I'm really excited about this new sponsor for the Mark Thompson Show. Two of them, actually. First of all, the Zellman's Minty Mouth I used and really do like. So that's pretty cool. And I have yet to try this yet. But if I'm looking at these pictures, and if they're any indication, and if the fact that this lady won Cupcake Wars twice is any indication, this is going to be really, really good. I was just looking at the pictures. So I do this thing for my kids on Valentine's Day where I have these little red and white baskets. My mom did this for my sister and I growing up. And every Valentine's Day we would come down, and at our place setting at the kitchen table, there was like a little gift. It's not a big thing, but just a little thing. So I do that for my kids. I have a little thing waiting for them. And this year, I think I might order some of these. It looks like it's expensive, but then when you realize, oh, you're getting a lot and you can separate it out, plus you get the discount code, it may be something I can swing. But this is that brownie pack Mark was talking about, the blondies and the chocolate fudge brownie pack, these snickerdoodles. Look at that. The cookies and cream. Oh my goodness. All of these things are only available until Valentine's Day. Most of the time, they don't have the brownies or the cookies. They only have the cupcakes, which are great, especially if you want to order for a birthday or just for a special treat for someone. And they have baking mixes that you can order too, which is kind of cool. Love that. So look at all the different stuff they have on here. Yeah, I like it. I cannot wait to try the cupcakes. What I wanted to show you, though, I tried to get Mark to show it earlier, was the picture of okay, so here's the different cupcake flavors they have. They have the animal cookie, the black forest, the strawberry, and I think that's their Valentine's pack. You can buy like a big pack and save that way. But they have these snickerdoodle cupcakes. Let's see if I can find it. Oh my God, you guys, it looks so good. And I think one of the things that I didn't realize when I was first looking at it is that you get 3.5 cupcakes in one of these little canisters. So look at that, Dubai chocolate. Good morning. Dolce de leche. Can you guys see that? Because the inside of that cupcake looks really good. There's the Dubai chocolate. You can buy it in bundles. I wanted to show you the Snickers one because it just looked really, really good. Here's the Snickers one. I mean, really? Because that looks amazing. Look at that. Look at the inside of that cupcake. They're going to send me some. I'm going to try it. Plus, I'm going to order some for Valentine's Day for my loved ones. Split it up. So just give each person a little bit. We won't overdo it. I know, Sandy, I have a sweet tooth too. It's my downfall. But if I order enough to give everyone a little bit, I think we can do this in moderation. That's my thing. So if you are going to order, by the way, and I know they're not a sponsor of this show, but I'm really interested in trying a rainbow cupcake. That looks cool. If you are going to try it, make sure you use the code MARKT. They're giving you 15% off for using that code MARKT. And if you are going to order for Valentine's Day, like I am, you have to put your order in by February 7th. So yeah, Kim, you owe an apology to people on diets. That's me. I'm on a diet, but I am on the kind of diet where like I can cut it in half and have a little bit. I'm just not going to eat the whole thing. It doesn't work for me to go cold turkey, but it might work for me. It has been working for me for more than a month now to just eat less than I used to eat and to move more. So that's what I'm doing. And I think that I can have plans for cupcakes in my maybe I'm not doing this right. I don't know, but I'm feeling like I can have plans for that in there. Maybe take a bite and then give the rest to the kids, right? Yeah. All right. Well, that's what I'm doing. Kim, if you owe people on a diet's an apology. Yeah, I know. I know. I hear it. Um, it is sweet with your mom, and now you're carrying on the tradition. My mom and I used to do fun things like that together. Yeah, I it's one of those things I remember from childhood that I loved and looked forward to. So it's one of the things I do for them as well. Susan ordered the cupcake with the Snickers for a gift. Okay, you have to tell me what the person said and whether you like it. I know. I know. They look scrumptious, Liz. I know. I know. Listen, but when you order them, you're not just getting a brownie, you're getting a bunch of brownies. So, and you get the discount code. Could be the best brownie you ever had in your life. Could be something you order here and there. I don't know. We'll see. I refuse to participate in diet culture, says Vanessa. Double your walking points if you eat the sweets. Absolutely. Yeah. What's not to like? Yeah, delicious. All right. Well, I'm glad we found that, and I'm glad they know the people from Coachella Valley, as I think Mark mentioned. So, what great products in tandem. Absolutely. Order somebody a little bag of tea, little cupcake canister. Off you go. What's a perfect gift? All right. Well, let's get into some of the stories I have prepared for you. And this one, I thought his picture was pretty cool. Guy is a scientist, an inventor, but also a bringer of the future. Because how cool is that? Would you use this if this is the new design for umbrellas? You get your hands free. This thing just kind of knows where you are and flies over you. I think it should be a little bit wider, bigger. I mean, as long as it's up in the sky, might as well. It also has to be easy to fold, right? And easy to kind of reach up and put away. Because if it's too cumbersome and it's too big, no one's going to use it. This young man's name is John C. TSE, and has got the MIT sweatshirt on. He has invented this flying umbrella. There are currently more people doing this as well. There's 11 registered patents for backpack umbrellas, and their designs, apparently, according to Popular Science, range from extendable parasols to that reach out from backpacks to give you kind of like a shell-like hood, so you have hands-free. The ones that cover your entire head. There are full-body umbrellas that make you look like you're walking around in a hamster ball. Shoe umbrellas for keeping you dry when you're wearing flip-flops or open-toed shoes, and even personal vehicles that will escort you through rainy weather at some point in the distant future. But all of those might be, not necessarily realistic. So this engineer and filmmaker, he runs this channel called I Build Stuff on YouTube. I Build Stuff. He has come up with this flying umbrella. So you walk around with it and it flies over your head. It uses drone technology to keep your head covered without the need to hold anything. You don't have to wear anything. You don't have to strap anything to your head to let it know where you are. He prototyped it in 2024 and just a few weeks ago put out this video about the behind the scenes update on how it looks. He's got this handheld controller that controls this contraption. And the initial one had the handheld controller. He said that made it impractical and limited its usability. So he then set out to add a tracking system so the flying umbrella could simply follow its user around, just hovering overhead a few feet above. He used different tracking systems to test out, uh, including LiDAR sensors, remote human operators. He used Raspberry Pi single board computers to test different methods for all of this. Finally, he gets it done. The video is called I Built a Fully Autonomous Flying Umbrella. And he says he achieves this goal. He said, I'd be lying if I said this turned out perfectly. But at the same time, I would be lying to say this moment didn't bring us great joy. So, yeah, he says he started with the idea, wouldn't it be cool to have a flying autonomous umbrella And then he puts out a series of videos in his zeal to get there. And maybe he's got something here. Perhaps this is, just a prototype and an idea, but I could see this having some legs. I don't know. Again, if it worked, if it was foldable and carryable, once you get out of the rain, then I think people would love an umbrella like this. I don't know. They say it's gone high tech to keep raindrops off of you. I could do without the rain umbrellas for my open-toed shoes. I think that's a little much. But this one, I don't know. I guess it would also depend on how the rain is coming down. I mean, if it's coming down in sheets or like at an angle, then maybe this won't do you much good. And if it's super windy, maybe that affects the flyability of your little umbrella drone. I don't know. Okay, I saw this article. This is what took me so long to get here because I saw it at the last minute and had to include it. Speaking of chilly, cold weather, I saw this on the Smithsonian Magazine website. They have photos of these incredibly cool icicles that I wanted to share with you because they're super interesting. The first one is icicles hanging from an ice bubble that has formed inside the Sapphire Cave in Iceland. Check it out. Icicles hanging from inside the Sapphire Cave in Iceland. That was a really cool picture. Here's the next one. Here's icicles in the Himalayas. I love it. The icicles in the Himalayas are in the Himachal Himalayas, and you can see the sunlight shining through the patterns of the glistening icicles in this one. The next one is in Jigokudani Monkey Park in Japan, and you can see this little monkey that is peeking through the icicles. That's a great shot. And the next one is almost like a DNA strand. This is icicles hanging off of a branch. This is in Osman Sharif. Oh, taken by Osman Sharif in Louisiana. Yeah, the shape of a tree branch and the way the icicles formed. Really cool looking. The next one was taken in South Carolina, ice on palmetto trees, which can apparently withstand very frigid temperatures and can withstand ice as well. There's ice on the palmetto trees. Oh, beautiful. Here's a little bird clinging to an icicle. This one taken in Maine, a black-caped chickadee, which is Maine's state bird, clinging to a pendant drop icicle there. The next one is icicles forming on a blade of grass. This is right near a fountain on a college campus. I have this one. Uh-oh. I might have forgotten to put it up. It's near a Nazarene University. Here's the picture. I do have it. And it's worth the wait because look at how cool that is. Ice on blades of grass right near this fountain at Nazarene University in Idaho. That's really cool. They almost look like little ice bubbles sitting over the grass. This next one, it was taken in Pennsylvania. This is a wall of bluish icicles said to resemble a rush of ocean waves. Really beautiful. Look at this guy. This is a cow. This cow is in Kentucky, and he's licking icicles off of a fence for a little winter refreshment. You can see through the slats of a fence the tongue of this cow coming up, trying to break off the icicles and get the water. One of the good things about being a cow in Kentucky in the winter, I guess. This next one was taken in 2021. It is a hike on a wintry day leading to these cool icicles over a waterway. They're said to represent the three variations of water: liquid, ice, and snow. And there you have it: liquid, ice, and snow. Here's a close up of an icicle. How beautiful is that with the sun shining off of it? This one taken in Pennsylvania as well, capturing the internal features of the icicle and the elements there. Super pretty, interesting looking. And the next one, ice spikes. There it is. These ice spikes fell off of a roof and landed on the ground and then seemed to protrude from the ground and reach upward. So that's pretty cool. All right, now that you're all chilly Cocoa Pop, I'll move forward and let's talk about these guys. These are, let me see if I can say it right, Martens, Marten, Martens. They're about the size of a ferret, and they used to be, sadly, highly prized for their fur, and were almost hunted to extinction in the late 20th century. But now, here in California, the Martens are making a comeback. They are woodland carnivores, and in the Pacific Northwest, they're finally rebounding. They're related to weasels, otters, mink, wolverines, and fedders. They're smaller than an average house cat. The adult males average 20 to 24 inches long and weigh about 1.5 to 3 pounds. They are carnivores. They are known to eat birds and their eggs, small mammals like chipmunks, berries, and nuts. And at one point, they were all over Northern California and Southern Oregon and Washington state, but their population dramatically shrank during the 20th century because they were trapped, their fur taken, then there was logging going on, so their habitat was ruined, and they were almost considered extinct until a biologist with the US Forest Service found a small population of them in the coastal woods of Northern California in 1996. So now they're listed as a threatened species under the Endangered Species Act. And this small population of martens are still at risk because of habitat loss and rodenticides and getting hit by cars and disease. There were some scientists from the university, Oregon State University, that spent a few months documenting the Northern California marten population. And they were trying to figure out how many were there. And they also used something called hair snares, where they use tape and wire to safely sample hair from these animals to collect their DNA and other data. So they gathered their marten data via 285 hair snares, the hair snares made from a PVC pipe and cameras. They analyzed and figured out that there were 46 different martens, 18 females and 28 males, living in the area around Klamath, California. They were at higher elevations, seen along forested ridge tops, living in areas with consistent snowpack in the winter. In lower elevations, they were spotted in ravines and wetlands and coastal areas. The study on these martens published in the journal Global Ecology and Conservation in a recent article there. Martens, they said, tend to select forest stands with greater than 50% canopy cover and lots of large diameter trees, snags, and hollow logs. Structural complexity with coarse woody debris helps them hunt and provides cover from predators and competitors. But even though there was a continued conservation concern over the last 30 years, there's still apparently a lot to learn about the distribution and demography and what forest conditions influence the lives of these martens. So there was a lot of people participating in this study. They had researchers from Oregon and California, Wisconsin. They were working on the ancestral lands of the Yurok tribe and the Karuk tribe. The Yurok tribe now manages the land for some timber harvesting, plant, wildlife, habitat restoration, and cultural resource conservation. So they had to be gentle working in this area. But now they're making a comeback, and they're said to be one of the most adorable animals that call the Pacific Northwest home. And thanks to Popular Science for teaching us a little bit about martens, because they sure are cute. Sadly, at least in Northern California, we're having some trouble with our shorebird population. Such a beautiful picture. But apparently, our shorebirds are vanishing at dramatic rates. Scientists in Petaluma, as a matter of fact, say they are seeing some pretty concerning changes and ranges with these birds, dramatic declines across the Bay Area and California. This study is done by Point Blue Conservation Science out at the Schollenberger Park area in Petaluma, and they published in the scientific journal Ornithological Applications, looking at avian population trends from 2012 through 2022. So during that time frame, they looked at the habitats across the Western Hemisphere's Pacific Flyway. This is an area where millions of birds pass through to migrate every year. And they found 10 to 22 shorebird species that they were monitoring had plummeted significantly in population in the past decade. The worst off is the American avocet. It's a shorebird that breeds around salt ponds in the bay and has this black and white plumage, very spindly blue legs, and a long upward curving bill. That species declined by 10% a year. 40,000 birds gone. The other two species most of concern included the dunlin, which is this stocky, speckled little shorebird with a drooping black bill, and then the willet, which is another long-legged bird with this call that's just piercing. It feeds on the mudflats and on the beaches. Those bird populations declined at rates of 5% for the first one and 8% per year for the second. So that's tens of thousands of birds that are gone as well. Not a small number. They were really, really surprised at their dramatic drop in bird populations. The study gives a little more insight into the Pacific Flyway, which stretches from Alaska all along the west coast down to southern Chile. The Bay Area is a really important spot because it's a critical resting point for overwintering birds. 300 to 400,000 of them stop by the Bay Area every year. So that was why the Bay Area was such an important monitoring station along the way. The researcher said you can look at populations in San Francisco, San Diego, the Central Valley, but it doesn't tell the big picture because they're so widely dispersed on non-breeding grounds. The non-breeding grounds are important to monitor because they represent where these birds are spending most of their time, about 10 months of the year. And unlike their breeding grounds in remote areas like the Arctic tundra, they're often more reflective of the bird's interactions with people. And that gives you a little bit more insight into human-driven threats. The article comes from SF Gate. They have a lot more data about the Pacific Flyway and what may be happening to the shorebirds of California. Yeah, disappointing to see their numbers dropping like that. I don't know if any of you have kids that play Roblox. They have now started to put product placement from IKEA and other brands as well, but this wasn't about the one is about IKEA into the video game. So a lot of Roblox is about building. You can do buildings and homes and cities and towns and whatnot. Now IKEA is opening a pop-up shop in the metaverse in a collaboration with this game Roblox, which will allow you, after you've built your structure, to add classic IKEA designs to your virtual house. You could have it in your real room, and you could have it in your Roblox room as well. It's called Bloxburg. You'll be able to visit the Bloxburg fancy furniture and pick up recognizable IKEA items. Like they have this gaming chair they sell. You can see it there, the big puffy gaming chair. A stuffed toy shark that's on the floor there in the Roblox universe. The products can be used to furnish spaces within the game so users can play with how they look in different virtual homes and environments. This limited edition IKEA pop-up inside of Roblox will be available to players in Australia and Sweden between January 22nd and February 5th. I don't know if you can get it while you're in the United States as well. Yeah. Roblox has about 111 million daily active users. More than half of them are under the age of 16. So, little IKEA branding inside of Roblox, and you've got, recognizable store names and furniture names and all kinds of things with these kids for life. IKEA says they would like to learn how this demographic is digitally interacting with their products, recognizing the importance of engaging them on the platforms that they're already using. So during this whole pilot platform, which they're going to expand this, they're going to monitor engagement metrics, focus on design, translation, usability, and interaction. The pilot also extends into the physical world. Of course it does, with users in Australia invited to participate in a store-based treasure hunt where they find hidden QR codes and unlock additional products within Welcome to Bloxburg. Mom, can we go to IKEA? I need to find the hidden QR code for my Bloxburg Roblox game. Yeah. The idea of designing for virtual worlds apparently just getting started, and IKEA is jumping into that. There was a medieval book sitting on a school shelf library. I mean, I guess one could say it's been there a long time. Kind of? I don't know. The hermit and mystic Richard Rollis was considered to be a very popular author in the Middle Ages. The manuscript from medieval times was hidden in an English boarding school's library. The manuscript, 474 years old. An analysis was done of it, and researchers can confirm the manuscript is the oldest and only known edition of Richard Rollis's The Amending of Life, written in its original Latin, Emendatio Vitae, or The Amending of Life. Maybe you don't know who Richard Raleigh is, but he was, in the late medieval era, one of the most widely read authors of that time. He was born sometime around 1300 CE in Yorkshire, England, and then lived most of his adult life as a hermit, dying in 1349. The thought is he might have died of the Black Death. More than 650 surviving manuscripts contain his writings today. So that means he was pretty popular, because There were only 144 archived pieces from Chaucer. So more people had Raleigh than Chaucer, I guess you could say, or somehow they survived. His last work in English, The Form of Living, was his most popular at the time. But The Amending of Life became much more influential. It was his most circulated book, and it detailed 12 stages of spiritual life, kind of like a medieval self-help book. He was called Richard the Hermit. And researchers, when they figured out this manuscript was at this boarding school, traveled to the medieval archives at Shrewsbury School, which was a private educational institution founded in 1552. They say he probably, because he was a hermit, didn't hang out at that library, but the researchers were looking for early copies of his work. And after reviewing photographs of a manuscript cataloged simply as MS-25, the researcher noticed a passage at the end explaining 6 different types of dreams. And he said he'd seen something similar in one of Raleigh's English texts, The Form of Living. And he compared them and realized they were identical. So this MS-25 was first described during the 1920s. The work, though, resided in Shrewsbury since its donation to the library in the year 1607. It's just sitting on a shelf all this time. In 2009, a study of all known remaining copies of The Amending of Life concluded that MS-25's extra passages were added later by an unknown person. They did a forensic analysis of his recent work, published in the journal Medieval Studies, and they think he actually wrote it. They say he didn't handwrite it, but that it was produced in the same way almost every other book of that era was, by painstakingly copying the text onto new parchment. But unlike every other remaining version of MS-25, this features Raleigh's full, unaltered original draft. They are surmising this because of one word: mellophono. Melliphono. 2 L's, my bad. Melliphono. Mellophono. It is a completely made up word that appeared in multiple of Raleigh's works and nowhere else at the time. It's a very Raleigh word. He's all about this idea of spiritual song and experience of angelic, heavenly music being the highest experience of God. He had a huge Latin vocabulary and creatively deployed a huge range of very specific terms for music to explain his ultimate experience of God. So they know, because that word is used, it's a Raleigh. Anyway, forgotten, sitting on the shelves for that long. 474-year-old library. And there it is, just sitting right there. Something else old before we get to Hide in Your Cave Monday. What is it? It is an elephant hammer? What I think, from an elephant bone 480,000 years ago. Could be the oldest known tool of its kind ever found in Europe. This so-called elephant hammer, discovered in southern England in the mid-1990s, they think that it could have been made by Neanderthals or Homo heidelbergensis. That according to a new study of this tool. When they found it in the 1990s, it didn't look like much. So they kind of set it aside at the Natural History Museum of London. And then later on, circled back around to, what's this stone that we have here? Now scientists think this artifact is more than just a bone fragment. They've written a paper published January 21st in the journal Science Advances. They think it's a 480,000-year-old hammer created deliberately. And if they're correct, it would make it the oldest tool of its kind in Europe. They don't know which species created it, but the elephant bone hammer suggests they were very sophisticated in their use of tools, collecting, shaping an elephant bone fragment, then using it on multiple occasions to shape and sharpen stone tools, shows an advanced level of complicated thinking and abstract thought, according to researchers. So this was found at an archaeological site in Boxgrove, which is this little village about 60 miles south of London. They recently decided we're going to revisit this artifact and we're going to use an electron microscope to take a closer look at it. And they figured out that it was riddled with pits and marks and scores. Some were made by slicing, others by scraping. And they think that was well used. In some of the marks, they found tiny embedded fragments of flint, suggesting this bone may have been used to sharpen stone tools. They also think it was a soft hammer used for knapping, where stones, bones, or antlers are struck against the edges of dulled stones to detach flakes and restore their sharpness. They figure at Boxgrove, at this little village, soft hammers were used for all kinds of things, including the production of hand axes. They think this 480,000-year-old tool was probably a retoucher used for lighter tasks that required more precision, like refining and sharpening the cutting edges of stone tools used at butchery sites. So interesting. And look at that. They just found it and set it aside all this time, kind of like the manuscript. Just been sitting there waiting for somebody to figure out what it really is. All right, it is time for Hide in Your Cave Monday. And boy, do we ever need a little bit of cave love today. It's time. Everybody in. We're going in. These are 9 haunted caves that you could explore, but you probably shouldn't explore. The first one, kind of cool. This is the Cave Hotel. I'm fascinated by this. This is the Cave Hotel at the Grand Canyon Caverns. Now check that out. The Grand Canyon has a lot of nooks and crannies and a lot of haunting rumors as well. That someone created a cave hotel in such a place, that's pretty creepy. There is evidence these caverns may have been discovered by members of the Hualapai tribe. The official discovery, though, is credited to a man named Walter Peck in 1927. Although we know he wasn't the first to stumble on them. He found the remains of 2 brothers who fell to the flu. Both brothers and even Peck himself are said to be among the ghostly apparitions that visitors claim to see at the Cave Hotel. There's more evidence of paranormal activity in the Cavern Hotel. The former manager, Gary Ringsby, is said to have appeared in the bunkhouse back in the 1970s. So if you are brave enough to sleep in the hotel's suites, you may report the distant sound of Native American chanting and see shadowy figures dancing along the rocks. Others claim to have heard whispering sounds, an elevator door opening and closing without cause, someone at the top of the cavern. That's the Cave Hotel at the Grand Canyon Caverns. The next one is the Hellfire Cave. They are also known as the West Wycombe Caves. England's Hellfire Caves form a network of chalk and flint caverns extending a quarter of a mile underground. If you dare. Looks like a lot of cool archways and carvings. Here's the Hellfire Caves. I know. These were excavated by Francis Dashwood in the mid 1700s, also the co-founder of the Hellfire Club. He's said to have held secret meetings in the Hellfire Caves. The members were all politically and socially influential throughout the 18th century. The reputation of this group, steeped in tales of dark rituals, debauchery, even devil worship. The Hellfire Club dissolved in 1766, but they say the ghosts of its members still linger in the caves, which now operate as a tourist attraction. They started that in 1951, but still, visitors routinely report hearing strange echoes and seeing mysterious apparitions that appear and disappear right in front of them. The reported activity so frequent, the Travel Channel's Ghost Adventurers and Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters have done their own paranormal investigations down here. That's the Hellfire Caves. We may have visited these ones because they're right in California. They're called the Moaning Cavern in Vallecito, California, named after the creepy moaning sounds that fill the air when the wind blows. The Moaning Caverns. Some things are just too creepy for me. I don't know. There's a picture of the Moaning Caverns. In addition to the wailing and the moans, witnesses say they have heard echoes of what sounds like a hammer knocking against the rocks. Because of this, the Moaning Cavern is thought by some to be the home of mythical leprechaun-like creatures known as Tommyknockers. Some believe the mischievous cave dwellers are the spirits of those who died in cave-ins and that their knocking warns of imminent collapses. Others say they're malevolent spirits whose knocking actually causes the cave-ins. Some also say the cave is haunted not by the Tommyknockers, but by the prehistoric peoples whose remains were discovered at the bottom of the cave. 3 other ghostly apparitions are gold miners that fell into caverns. Allegedly, a prehistoric saber-toothed tiger also fell through the cave's opening. Some witnesses claim to have seen the beast's ghost staring at them, one of its large fangs chipped. The next one is called the Bell Witch Cave. There is a legend of the Bell Witch. Let me show you a picture of the Bell Witch Cave. I don't know if I'm going into the Bell Witch. I don't know. Do I have a Bell Witch? Here it is. Here's the Bell Witch Cave. You got to make a real choice at the entrance of this cave. Are you going in? Because everybody duck. We're going down. The Bell Witch Cave legend popped up around 1804 when a farmer named John Bell moved his wife and kids to a farm along the Red River in northern Robertson County. The property also included this cave, which became known as the Bell Witch Cave, believed to be haunted by the spirit of a witch named Kate Batts, who felt that she was cheated by the Bells in the land purchase. Strange animal sightings began in the summer of 1817. Late at night, it is said the family would hear strange noises knocking on the door and all along the walls outside of the house. At one point, the noises made their way inside the home and also included gnawing, choking, and dragging sounds. It was creepy. Vicious incidents by an unseen force plagued the youngest Bell daughter, who is said to have suffered scratches and physical beatings. The family did not have a good time here. Once John passed away, Betsy called off the engagement with the property, and the witch apparently felt her vengeful work was done and returned home to the cave for years. She returned to the home in 1828, allegedly speaking to John Bell Jr. and promising to return 107 years later. Considering all the paranormal activity, locals reported near the Witch Cave, even throughout the town in in the area. Many believe she never left. The next one, that was a really creepy one. The next one is the Mammoth Cave, and we have been here, but I don't know if we've heard the legend of the Mammoth Cave. Here's the cave. There it is. The Mammoth Cave. Horror author H.P. Lovecraft's story, The Beast in the Cave, was inspired by this famously creepy Kentucky cave system. The Mammoth Cave is as massive as its namesake implies, might be the largest haunted cave in the United States, with 400 miles of unexplored area. Evidence suggests prehistoric peoples began mining the cave as far back as 4,000 years ago and eventually used it to bury their dead, which went on for about 2,000 years before they abandoned the cave. Now, whatever caused them to flee, unknown, but it might have something to do with all of the ghost sightings that have occurred over subsequent years. After the War of 1812, the caves were sold to the mine saltpeter. Enslaved people were sent to work and die in those caves, and apparitions of deceased enslaved people are often reported there. In 1839, a cave section was converted into a makeshift tuberculosis village by a doctor who believed in the purity of the cave's air and that it would fight infection and purify people's lungs. So a lot more people ended up dying inside the Mammoth Caves and are believed to still haunt it to this very day. They have Mammoth Cave tours that still go on down there. I don't know. No, thank you. The next one is called the Chislehurst Cave. The Chislehurst Cave looks really dark and gloomy. Look at that, walking down those passages. This is in the UK. They are human-made mines that many think are home to spirits. The first record of this cave system dates back to 1250. It's a 22-mile network thought to be the work of generations of Druids, Romans, and Saxons. Tour guides highlight the supposed Druid altars, and the apocryphal tales surrounding the caves involve ritual sacrifice and slayings. Footsteps said to be heard echoing from deep within the cave labyrinth, along with murmurs, children giggling. This is creepy. During the Blitz in World War II, more than 5,000 Londoners took refuge in the caves at night. They say people still haunt those tunnels. The next one is called the Cave of Sybil. I don't know about hiding your cave Monday. We're better off staying out of these caves, I think. Tea. This is the Cave of Sybil. Here's what it looks like. Looks very geometric, this one. This is supposedly one of various natural formations that may be a gateway to the underworld. The entrance to hell. This one is what is what is now called Naples, and it's known as the Cave of Sybil. And people say even birds won't fly over it. According to legend, the oracle of the ancient priestess Sybil guards this gateway and guides travelers on their descent into Hades. It is, though, a very well-reviewed tourist destination, the Cave of Sybil. So apparently we're not that scared of it. This next one is in St. Paul, Minnesota. And it's kind of, I don't know, interesting, kind of cool. It is the Wabasha Street Caves. Looks maybe like a normal building on the outside, but it's really a series of human-made caves in disguise in St. Paul, Minnesota. The Wabasha Street Caves, built into sandstone caves along the Mississippi River. Here's what they look like. Interesting. It's like you could have a little bar in there. The caves were bored to mine silica. They have served many purposes since. They're acting as a speakeasy, you can see there, as a gangster hangout. 3 gangsters were gunned down here in the early 1930s and apparently can still be spotted lurking around inside the caves today. The ghostly sightings have leaked out of the caves and into an adjoining cave where staff and customers have claimed to see these apparitions of a woman sitting at a bar with a man in a Panama hat. $8 and you can tour that cave. This next one is called the Robber's Cave. I have a picture of the Robber's Cave. Kind of looks open on the top. I don't know. There's the Robber's Cave. The Robber's Cave in Lincoln, Nebraska, was once known as Pahook Bluff, and it was, at the time, a sacred meeting spot for Pawnee Indians, or Native Americans. The cave system beneath the bluff was where the Pawnee taught many traditional practices like healing, animal powers, medicinal, and magical value of plants and roots. And nowadays, the locals in the area claim to hear the sounds of beating drums and chanting, as if the rituals are still being performed by the ghosts. There have also been reports of moaning sounds emanating from the caves. The elaborate cave system was sealed for years, but it's now open and able to be toured by the public. And those are our 9 caves for today with creepy stories attached. And that is Hide in Your Cave Monday. All right. Robbers, like I've robbed you. Yeah, robbers for option 1, Rev. Robbers. Yvonne says I'm ready to crawl into the covers. Yeah, that one did look like the inside of a pyramid. Sybil's Cave? Totally. Doug says, I believe ghosts are spiritual. How come the ghosts on the show Ghosts aren't nude? These are the questions, Phineas. These are the questions. I don't know. Doug says, I believe in ghosts. Not everyone crosses over right away. Very interesting. The ghost in you, she don't fade, says Vanessa. Mama believes in ghosts. Doug sees shadowy figures all the time. Heather says, I stayed at Queen Mary once, that boat off the Southern California coast, Long Beach, right? And never saw a ghost. What a ripoff. Not even one ghost for your time and trouble? Ridiculous. Thank you to everyone who hangs out, who chats, who contributes to the fun that is the chat on the After Party Live. Thank you to everyone who contributes story ideas as well. Kim at theafterparty.live is the way to find me. And thank you to everyone who contributes to this show in a financial way as well. Wes tossing in another $5 today. Karen C as well with a recurring PayPal payment. Suanne S, Nancy V, James S. Those are the most recent contributors, and thank you. I appreciate it. You can find the information on the show PayPal in everyday's show description and in the About tab. And please click the like and subscribe if you haven't already. That's always free. Tomorrow, David K. Johnston will be on the Mark Thompson Show. I think Jefferson Graham might be back as well, so that'll be fun. And then we'll do a little traveling tomorrow on this show. But until we meet again, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
Girls gotta work. We understand. We're always in the replay, my friend.